Welcome. So we're going to do a quick overview of new right as a pure theory methods as part of paper 1 and paper 3. So new right as a theory, what we need to know is obviously they are political. They are linked with the Conservative Party, and as such they're going to be more traditional in their values. They're going to like meritocracy, traditional family values, traditional educational curriculums. There's also elements that are patriarchal and pro-capitalism. They're also what we'd also call anti-state. So again, they believe people should be self-sufficient rather than relying on state welfare. And this is the same in terms of family and education, that people should be independently successful for their own failure and own success. And again, shouldn't rely on the state welfare for support. Now, as a theory, they are right-wing, so they're associated with the traditional conservative values. Status quo, tradition, tough on law and order. They emphasise low income tax and less dependency on welfare. Obviously, there is an emphasis on the role of the individual, as I mentioned, with the anti-state approach. And obviously, we need to remember that four-letter word that everyone associates with the Conservatives, that C word that we will use, which is cuts, because austerity is a big element of the new right approach. Obviously, we've been living in a big period of austerity. Politically, as the timeline goes, they've been in power from 1979 to 97, from 2010 to 2015, part of the coalition, 2015 to 19, with the change in between three prime ministers, and obviously recently we're in the 2019 Boris era, which is currently where we stand. The reason we are looking at new right as a theory, as I said, they're not political, but the fact that over the last 40 years they've been in power for 28 of them. And what that means is a lot of the policies, decisions and approaches they take have impacted all avenues of societal life. So that's why we need to look at them, because they are quite influential on what we've been looking at. So just a quick reminder of the theories, the policies and where they have come from. So between 1979 and 97, we saw the traditional new right under Margaret Thatcher. And we saw policies like vocational education, Education Reform Act. We saw stuff like Section 28, which was obviously the banning of promoting homosexuality or same-sex relationships in any variety or form. Again, very traditional educational elements. A lot of the marketisation forces coming in. We saw the Health Service Act, which kind of reduced public sector healthcare, homes and nursing homes, and obviously privatised a lot of the industry. And we saw Child Support Agency, which again impacted family life by kind of making fathers responsible for paying for their children. One of the things that's important is obviously this period of time, the new right in the UK was very closely aligned with the right in America. So obviously Reagan era, and obviously that's going to link in with some of the Christian right values we'll see later. Between 2010 and current policy or politics, we can see, as I said, we have the Conservatives and variations of form of coalition, the Brexit kind of palaver, Theresa May stepping in, and then Boris as he stands. Key policies for education there and for family life. Ultimately, all of them either reinforce traditional values, whether it was education or family life. It removed social welfare, particularly EMA, Sure Start, Aim Higher, tuition fees being put up. And it promoted traditional family values like married couples tax breaks. In terms of family life, as I mentioned, Murray was a key advisor to Margaret Thatcher. Traditional nuclear family was the key. They didn't like single parent families. They saw them as dysfunctional, harmful. There was a dependency culture and a reliance on the over-generous state welfare. Particularly, I think Murray referred to the sort of the working class or the single parent families, the underclass, sorry, as moral decay or rot on society. Dennis and Erdos kind of followed this up in 92 with the growth of single parent families and their view that this led to decline in positive role models from young men. So we saw this growth of irresponsible, anti-social, juvenile delinquent males, all because of the growth of single parent families. So fatherless families are their key study. Education, Chubb and Moe were the key thinkers here. So ultimately, they said that market forces were most important, private schools were more effective than state schools, and it was all because of the paying customer mentality. They brought in consumer choice, so parentocracy, marketisation, obviously linked in with the Education Reform Act of 1988. So again, lots of the changes we sort of saw in education under the new right. And within beliefs, we study the Christian right, or obviously the Christian right as a sort of political influence on governments. So particularly televangelism and Christian conservatives have a bit more of power to influence political figures. So as I say, we know televangelists in the most, well, when Donald Trump was elected, televangelists were quite influential in him gaining his power. So with this in mind, obviously, not pure traditional new right thinkers, but obviously the religious equivalent of the new right. As I said, overall, we've seen the new right a lot in everything we've done. They will pop up again in crime. As a pure theory, there isn't really much for them to say other than the stuff we've already covered, because as I said, it's not a theory on how society works, it's a political ideology that has influenced society. So we can look at what they've done and how they view society rather than the way they think society works and how it's put together, because again, they have the power to make change, which separates them from other sociological theories which can comment on society but don't always have the power to make the changes that they would like. And there we have it, so an overview of the new right as a pure theory. Thanks for watching.